So there should be the message. The event is now recording. Okay, awesome. So today's event is about crafting your individual development plan, or IDP. And this is something that I used to do when I was in graduate school for myself, to figure out how I was going to either take the next steps in my experiments or take the next steps in my career. So hopefully you'll find it useful as well. By the way, if you have questions, feel free to raise your hand, unmute yourself, or post it in the chat, and I will answer them as I go. Okay, so here we go. Do you know the difference between a job and a career? If anyone wants to answer. And if you don't, I will tell you. No. So a job is when you just get a paycheck. You're not really advancing in pay or responsibility as you move from job to job. So it's something that you just like do for money. Whereas a career means that you get to use your education, your training, and experiences so you can advance in pay and responsibility. You can pursue a career to reach your long-term goals. And you're always thinking about what you can do now to reach those long-term goals, to make those long-term goals happen. Okay. So with a career, you're more systematic, whereas with a job, your main purpose is to get the money. In a career, you also get that money, but you also get to fulfill what is important to you. Okay. And for you to be able to reach that long-term goal, you need a plan. And this is what the IDP is about. So how many of you have planned a vacation in the past, or seen somebody plan a vacation, or seen it on TV, or anything along those lines? One person, right? So when you are planning a vacation, one second. When you're planning a vacation, you need to decide where you want to go. You research locations, you ask friends and family, consult travel books and websites. You figure out if it's feasible. In that case, is it within your budget? Do you have enough money? How are you going to get there? Will you drive? Will you book a car? Will you take the train or a bus? How long will you be there? Will you be there for the weekend? Will you be there for a week? Will you be there for a month? Once you decide all that, you get to start booking the aspects of your trip. So what you're going to do for transportation, whether you're going to take a car, take the train or the bus. Whoever has their, I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody who is not muted right now. Okay. All right. So once you book everything, your accommodations, you plan the activities, you packing, and you enjoy your trip. But what happens if you skip a step? Let's say you decide you forget to book accommodations. You have everything else, but you fail to book accommodations. Where are you going to stay? So just like planning a vacation, you need to take these steps and plan accordingly so you can enjoy your trip. So that is the essence of the individual development plan. And I apologize for this on top. It's supposed to say career aspirations. So the individual development plan is a systematic approach for you to reach your career goals. Okay. And it's a stepwise approach. Okay. And it answers 3 questions. Where am I now? Where do I want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 6 months from now, 3 months from now, 1 week from now? And how am I going to get there? Okay. And the way you do this, like I said, it's a stepwise systematic approach where you start with your self-assessment. You could also start with your career aspiration, but for today's purposes, we are starting with self-assessment. And self-assessment means that you are evaluating yourself and your skills, values, and interests. Okay. Once you have done that, you go to your career exploration where you research your options. So you decide, okay, so I'm really good at problem solving. What careers can I pursue that will allow me to use this skill often? Once you have done your career exploration, you set your goals. So like I said, self-assessment. You set your goals, you implement this plan, and you evaluate. And once you are done going through this entire process, you can either go back to self-assessment, as you see here. You could go and decide, okay, these are the skills that I need to be able to reach my career. Or you may decide that the career that you thought you wanted to pursue isn't really the career that you wanted. So you go back to career exploration. What other career can I pursue that will allow me to use my skills and fulfill my interests and values? Or you can go back to setting goals and say your self-assessment is accurate, your career selection is accurate. Then you go back to like, okay, so I reached my last set of goals. Let's for the last 3 months, let's set goals for the next 3 months. Okay. So why should you? So we're going to start with a self-assessment. So all of you should have the form that I pasted in the chat or sent via email earlier today. And so please go ahead and pull up that form. And while you're pulling out that form, I will tell you why you want to do self-assessments. This is the first step to navigating your career. A self-assessment will help you figure out what you're good at, what you like and dislike, and what matters to you. Okay. So what you're good at are skills, what you like or dislike are interests, and what matters to you are values. So go ahead and pull up the form if you haven't already. It should be in the chat. And complete these self-assessments. Rate yourself from 1 through 5, where 1 is highly deficient for the skills, or 1 for interest is something you do not want to be doing, or 1 for value is something that you don't want or you don't value in your life or your career. And 5 is something that you are very interested in. And try to use the entire range of numbers, okay? So don't rate everything 5, for example, in the values. Try to prioritize, okay? So I will give you about 5 minutes. I will set a timer. You'll hear it for you to 4 minutes for you to fill out the self-assessment. And the reason I'm only giving you 4 minutes is because you don't want to think too much about this. You just want to really see something and decide, yes, I would like to do this, or no, this is not really something I value. And the more range, the more you prioritize these skills, interests, and values, the easier it'll be for you to set goals and career aspirations. So if you have any questions, you feel free to set them up in the chat or ask them, unmute yourself and ask, and I'll be here. And if you're done, feel free to raise your hand and let me know. So if all of you finish before the 4 minutes are over, then we can just proceed. And again, if you have any questions, let me know. So the people who just came in right now, we are in the process of completing a skills, interest, and value self-assessment. Okay, so one person's done. Unless you have a question, Andrea, let me know. You have about 1 minute left. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you, Lorna. Thank you. So you are only answering the first page, the skills, interests, and value self-assessment. I will go through the second page with you. And with that, the 4 minutes are over. We'll move on. So as we move on, does anyone want to share what you learned or your thoughts about the process of self-assessment? You can do it via the chat. You can mute yourself. Okay, so I will ask a question you can answer. About the skills, did you see any skills that you saw that you felt where you were deficient in, but feel that you would need for your career? Anyone? Public speaking. Somebody said not really. Okay. So public speaking, another person. Yeah, so that's important. And as you planning events, that's right. That's another one. As you move through your career, you will find that there's skills that you will need to be able to teaching and training. There's skills that you will need to be able to pursue the career that you want, which takes me to the next step. Career exploration. So some of you know what you want to do when you graduate, and some of you may still be exploring, and that's completely fine. This step of career exploration is to research your options. And some places you can research your options include ONET Online. You can also check out the Bureau of Labor Statistics, where you could just research any career. Let's say you want to go into environmental chemistry, you just Google environmental chemistry or go to onetonline.org and search environmental chemistry, and it will give you the outlook. It'll give you the type of salary, the type of skills that you would need, the training that you would need, the education you will need, etc. So that's a good resource. You can also do informational interviews. How many of you know what informational interviews are? And feel free to post it in the chat. Yes, no. Let me know. And the reason I ask, informational interviews, anybody? Does anybody know? Some people are aware, yeah. Good. Some people are not, and that's completely fine. So informational interviews are interviews that somebody messaged me as an interview that gives you an overview about a position. It could be, but it could also be an overview about a career. You don't necessarily reach out to people who will be hiring you, but you would be you could do that. But you could also be reaching out to people who are in the career that you want to be in, to ask them how they got there and just have a quick 15, 20, 30-minute conversation with them. In another life, this would have been over coffee. These days, I'm sure it would be over phone or Zoom, etc. And for those of you who don't know what informational interviews are, don't worry. One of the events this semester is about informational interviewing, and we are bringing in a career coach who is the CEO of her own company, and all she does is talk to people about everything that they need to do to pursue the career that they want to pursue. So come, I believe it's end of mid-April, you will have that opportunity. And then you can also join professional organizations. You could join the American Chemical Society, you can join the Society of Toxicologists, you can join some molecular biology society. It depends on what you're interested in. Cool. I'm glad that you're excited about it. But by joining professional organizations, you will get insight on the type of training that you will need, and you will get also opportunities for professional development. Another professional organization you can join is SACNA, the Society for the Advancement of Chicanos and Native Americans in Sciences. It's not just for Chicanos and Native Americans, it's for everybody. So I really encourage you to check it out. I'm putting it, whoops, I accidentally sent it in a private message, SACNAS. Search it, check it out, and read more about it. And the purpose of researching your intended career is to figure out, does your intended career match your skills, interests, and values? So you can imagine all three of these ways to research career will give you different insight. And it will also tell you what you will need to reach your goals. Do you need just a bachelor's? Do you need a master's? You need to get a terminal degree, like a doctorate. If you want to go be a medical doctor, of course, you would need to go to medical school, but you would also need to do your residency, your fellowship, etc. How long will that take? And that's the whole purpose of the IDP, is to help you figure out what you need to do to get there. And based on your skills, interests, and values, can you come up with a career plan B? How about a career plan C? So you always should be planning in parallel, because you never know what may happen. Maybe you find that as you decide to pursue a master's, and as you start pursuing your master's, you decide that in science, you decide that maybe you want to go into computer science. And so maybe you pivot right there. Always be ready to have a career plan B. Or let's say you want to apply to medical school and you do, but you don't get in. So what are you going to do? That's where your plan B comes in. Okay. There's always ways to get to where you need to go. You just need to plan for it. All right. So once you're done with your career exploration, you're going to set goals. And goals are a concrete plan to help you obtain and improve skills. So what is a goal? Like I said, it's a concrete plan. It's something that you want to achieve or do. It could be professional, it could be academic, and it could be personal. So maybe you want to be a clinical psychologist, maybe you want to be a teacher, maybe you want to be a scientist. Academic could be that you may want to meet your professors, or you may want to go to graduate school. Personal, you want to do something fun, you want to have a family. But a goal could also be something that you don't want. Maybe you don't want to get anything below a B in your classes. Maybe you don't want to be in debt. Maybe you don't want to be overweight. So having just a goal, something you want to achieve, is not enough to be able to get to where you want to go. Okay. For you to be able to get to where you want to go, you need to set up goals where you focus on the things that you can control. And this is where SMART goals come in. SMART goals support the attainment of your goals, and SMART goals stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. So go ahead now, you'll see in your second page in the handout that I sent out, we're going to go through the SMART goal setting. Okay, so with that, how to set a SMART goal. Is it specific and focused and unambiguous? Is it something that somebody reads and knows exactly what you're going to do? Is it measurable? How will somebody know whether or not you've achieved this goal? What's the end goal, and have you reached it or not? Action oriented or attainable. Did you specify the action that you will need to take to complete this goal? Realistic and relevant. Considering the difficulty and time frame, is this goal attainable? And time bound. Did you specify a deadline? By when will this goal be done? Okay, so go ahead and in your handout, start out by writing a goal. My goal for this particular situation was to get a job after I graduate. Okay. Is this goal specific? You guys want to share what you think? Getting a job after I graduate. Is it a goal? Would you say that this goal is specific, that you know exactly what I'm going to do? Exactly. No. What type? Exactly. Right. Not at all. So what do? Maybe you can be more specific as to what type of job it is, what type, where. Right. There you go. You guys are already experts. So I edited this goal. I want a job at John Jay that allows me to identify problems and propose solutions that help students graduate in 8 semesters after I graduate. So think about your goal and answer the questions: what, when, where, and how. Okay. And if anybody wants to share their goal and get feedback, that is absolutely fine. Know also that I will be holding professional development sessions one-on-one. So if you want to discuss your IDP or get feedback on your goal in a one-on-one setting, you will be receiving an email about this soon, coming from Derek. So I'll give you a couple minutes to make sure that your goal is specific, that it's focused, it takes into account your skills, interests, and values, and answers the question what, when, where, and how. Yes, the email will specify how to make an appointment with me. That's right. And it'll also tell you things that you can do prepare for the meeting. If you also have a question about your goal, you can send it to me as a private message, a direct message on the chat. Okay, so let's move on. Is your goal measurable? How will I know when I have achieved this goal? So I start with this goal. I want a job at John Jay that allows me to identify problems and propose solutions that help students graduate in 8 semesters after I graduate. Is that measurable? How will I know that I've gotten there? Well, let's be a little bit more specific to make it measurable. I want to accept an offer for a job at John Jay that allows me to identify problems and propose solutions that help students graduate in 8 semesters after I graduate. So let's say you have a goal of, I want to get an A in this course. How will you know that you've done everything you can for getting the A in this course? Maybe you'll find that your goal involves going to office hours, going to tutoring once a week, going to tutoring twice a week, going to study sessions once a week, and studying on your own 6 hours for the material, for you to be able to master the material. And if you make your goal that specific, it'll be measurable, because if you do all those things, you'll know that you've achieved this goal. Okay. Any questions? Or anyone want feedback? All right. So let's move on. Attainable. Is this goal realistic? This is a previous goal after we made it measurable. Well, I'm just graduating, right? So will getting a supervisory position right after graduating be feasible? Probably not. However, getting an entry-level job would. So describing the job will make this goal attainable. And if you want me to read your goal, like one of your peers just wanted me to, you can send it to me through direct message and I will give you feedback. 1 second. Okay, so I have someone in the group who sent me their goal, and their goal is I want to pass my MCAT exam in May so I can get into NYU and other medical schools this year. So how is this goal specific? Can this goal be more specific? What do you guys think? I'm gonna post the question, the goal in the chat. How would you make this goal a little bit more specific? What would be passing, for example? What would be the score that you would need for the MCAT? What do you need to do to be able to pass the MCAT? Do you need to practice? Do you need to take a course on the exam? Do you need to learn, right? What study habits, right? So a practice, how often? What study habits are you using? Specify the score minimum. There you go. Very nice. And also, what else? What schools, right? But if you think about this, this is sort of like a two-part goal. You have the MCAT and you have getting admissions into medical school. So I would suggest that this person, exactly the application process, what other med schools, that this person break this goal in two parts. The first part be about the MCAT and what study habits you need to employ to be able to get the score that you need or want. So the second part would be gain admissions into NYU medical school by doing what? You need to write your personal statement. You need to get your clinical experience. You need to get other experience if you need it, if you feel that it'll benefit you. You need to complete the MCAT. You need to get your letters of recommendation and all these things. You need to complete courses. So as you start thinking about what are the specific things that I need to do to reach this goal. And furthermore, is this a realistic goal? Well, perhaps it is. How can you make it more realistic? Maybe you find that because May is so near, maybe you take the exam a little later. Maybe you take it in September. And that will maybe a little bit more realistic than taking it in May. So those are some things that you want to think about, and certainly some things I can give you feedback on during the one-on-one professional development sessions. So relevant. Is this goal in line with your values, experiences, and skills? So this is the previous goal that was attainable, measurable, and specific. But it doesn't include anything about the values, experiences, and skills. So I added this portion here that would allow me to use the skills and experiences I've gained through my coursework, research experiences, and internship experiences after I graduate. And to take it a step further, how can I make this particular part that makes my goal relevant more specific? Any advice? So maybe I find that through my internship, I really enjoy program development. And so instead of saying internship experiences, I may say use my program development skills along with my coursework and research experiences to get this entry level job. So it's all about fine tuning. And it almost looks a little too much, but the more specific you are with your goal, the more guidance you can give yourself and accountability you can have with yourself as you pursue these goals independently. And finally, time bound. When will this goal be achieved? So previously I have this like goal of getting an entry level job and using all these skills, but by when? By when do I want to achieve this goal, right? So I added 2 months after I graduate. Okay, so for me to be able to reach this goal, say I graduate in May, by July, August, I should have secured this job. Okay, so any questions so far? I also want to mention that this is a monster sentence, and those of you who know me know that I'm very much all about scientific writing and writing being concise, etc. For these purposes, I recommend that maybe instead of having a full long sentence that may overwhelm you, you have bullet points as well. So I want to accept an entry-level job at John Jay. And then you can have a bullet point where I can identify problems and propose solutions. A bullet point using the skills and actually identifying the skills that I want to use, and a bullet point for the time bound. So the bullet point that makes it attainable, measurable, realistic, and time bound. And by doing all that, it'll also be specific. So once you're done with your goal, you want to review it. Is it smart? And you start from, I want a job after I graduate, to I want to accept an offer for an entry-level job that allows me to identify the problems and solutions to help students graduate 8 semesters, and where I can also use my skills and experiences so I can succeed and be happy. It takes into account my values and takes into account my skills and my interests. So check with yourself and ask yourself, is your ending goal smart? And if you want to share with me, and I can share, you can share it through direct message anonymously, and I can share with everybody, and you can get some feedback from me and everybody else. Okay, so I'll let you ask for feedback during the one-on-one professional development sessions. So you've gone through the self-assessment, the career exploration, and the goal setting. Now it's time to implement a plan. You will recruit mentors to help you with various parts of your plan. So mentors could be anybody. They could be professors, they could be advisors, they could be people in programs like PRISM, people like me that have gone through the process and can give you feedback. They could be your friends, they could be your family members. So the whole point of having mentors or a mentoring network is to help you stay accountable, and along those lines also have somebody you can ask for feedback. Okay, and that's important because nobody ever does anything alone, and having feedback and the support as you pursue your goals will make everything a lot easier. Okay, so as you're setting up your IDP, definitely think about the people who can help you implement these goals. Is it your parents, your sister, your brother, your uncle, your aunt, your grandmother, your grandfather? Do you have advisors at college or outside the college? If you transferred, do you have advisors in your previous college that you can reach out to and ask for feedback? Your professors are also a really good resource and often know a lot of people that can help you figure out if your career choice is right for you, and help you figure out what else you need to do to be able to reach your goals. And this slide is all about that. Having the support you will help you identify where you should be doing better, where you need help, and also help you figure out where you can find the people to help you. Maybe right now you find that you don't have a lot of connections with your professors, but maybe a goal this semester for you will be to get to know your Chem 220 professor and go to office hours. So go to office hours once a week to get to know your Chem 220 professor. You could stay after class and ask questions is another way. So definitely take advantage of the people you interact with throughout your academic career, because these are the people that will help you get to where you want to go. And finally, in the beginning of this event, I mentioned something about me using an IDP for when I was in graduate school. So it turns out the IDP that I use is from Science Careers, and it's called My IDP. And you can find it at myidp.sciencecareers.org. And I will post that in the chat that I need to pull up. And basically, when you go in, it looks like this. If it's your first time, you can check it out. One caveat for this IDP is that it was developed for graduate students and postdocs, which means that a lot of the skills assessments that you will find are definitely a little more advanced than an undergraduate student would have, or skills that are a little bit more advanced than what an undergraduate student would actually have at this level. So keep that in mind, but definitely check it out. It's pretty cool. It spits out this whole list of careers you can consider based on your interests, values, and skills. Science, sorry. I am Science Careers. I am typing .org. The website in the chat, so go ahead and check it out. And a lot of what I presented today I got from this website. So I do recommend you go, you peruse it, see what type of careers they spit out for scientists, and see what appeals to you. With the caveat, they should always remember that this was developed for graduate students and postdocs. So don't feel overwhelmed when you look at the skills and you're like, oh my God, writing grants and setting up, developing my own experiments seems like a lot. That's not something that you're supposed to be able to do right now. But if it's something that you're interested in, definitely take note of it, okay? And with that, if you have any questions, you know how to find me. This is my email. The phone number is the office phone number. You can definitely call and leave a voicemail, and I get those voicemails in my email inbox, and I can reach out to you if you leave me contact information for me to reach out to. Okay, do you have any questions? Comments, concerns, critiques? Okay. So like I mentioned, I'm going to stop sharing. And I will stop recording